and today we're going to rank the Fortnite locations from worst to best, and me and mitchy2093's opinion. His channel link is in the description, and if I can, the top right corner, you'll see it. But we'll kind of go into it right now. So number 20 is
Tomato Town.
Tomato Town. Tomato Town is trashy, but doesn't have loot and it's never in the circle. And by the way, we merged two lists together. So we made separate lists. We merged them together, and we what's it called? We kind of agreed on what to put. So at number 20, we put Tomato Town. We had Tomato Town and Flush in the same place, and they were in the same place. And we had Tomato Town and number 19 in the same exact place. So my reason was not enough loot, and it's sometimes not even in the circle. And Mitchy, what's your reason?
Probably because little to no loot. Only good reason for it is because
Noobs.
Usually in the circle, almost. So, pretty much.
Yeah, that's 20. And number 19 is, I'll say it, Flush Factory. My reason for putting Flush Factory was it's never in the circle. And a lot of people go there if it's the last drop. And what was your reason?
No loot. Never. Also what he said with never being in the circle. More loot than Tomato Town, although
Never in the circle.
usually the first drop sometimes. Usually the last drop. Usually far away from the battle bus. Sometimes you can get lucky.
Lucky land?
Not lucky landing, but
Whoa.
you know.
Yeah. And number 18 is
Lonely Lodge.
Lonely Lodge. My reason for Lonely Lodge is there's just never any loot, and well, there's no loot, and it's never in a circle. What's your reason?
My reason, Lonely Lodge. Sometimes loot. Only the big, tall watchtower
And
has
the
loot
lodge.
sometimes.
The lodge has some.
What if you're not careful enough?
You'll fall off and
Sometimes get knocked out.
you are in the storm. Crawl.
You're in the storm. Crawl is the usual. And 50v50 is not a good place for Lonely Lodge. Or let me rephrase that. Cut that out. 50v50 is not a good mode for Lonely Lodge.
Because it's on the coast.
On the coast. And one time, you can't even get there with the launch pad. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. And if it's far away from the circle, you can't even get there with the launch pad. So,
Yeah, and there's no golf carts.
no golf carts.
Jesus. And number 17 is,
Lucky Landing.
wow. Actually, I hate Lucky Landing. My reason for Lucky Landing is it may have good loot. A lot of people go there, and it's never in the circle. And there's not a lot of materials, so flip it. And what's your reason?
Mostly the same as him, although I like the idea of a Japanese place. Lucky Landing doesn't sound like a Japanese place, but, you know.
Yeah.
Lucky Landing. Okay, just cut that out. Alright. Next one is number 16.
Paradise Palms.
And
it may seem like a weird spot to put something new and big like that, but it's a big trafficked location. There's a lot of houses, but a lot of people are going there, not enough loot to go around, and it's like moisty. Never in the circle.
never. Sometimes, unless you're lucky, it is, but also, do not go to the Mexican place
Down south, great place
Great place.
to die at. There's no loot there.
Wait, let's cut that part out.
Exactly.
One part that's good about Paradise Palms is that there is a Mexican-themed place to the south, or to the right, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And it can have great loot.
But it's really south.
Very
and,
south.
You go 300, you get, a couple feet down from it, and you're in the ocean with the sharks and Aquaman.
And Aquaman's gonna eat you. And his terrible movie that's coming up. Also.
He's gonna eat you in the critics.
And number 15, Shifty Shafts.
Shifty Shafts is a central location,
Very good for the circle.
but you're around Tilted, Salty, and Loot Lake, and Dusty Divot, so...
It's a good stopping place after one of those places where you lose all your health.
Yeah.
So somebody from Tilted who has a scar and a heavy shotgun.
And maybe a blue submachine gun will wreck your health. You'll somehow get a one-shot on him.
Or, maybe something that you don't even know existed, like a gold drum gun. They'll shoot you down and you'll die in 13 seconds.
No, 13 seconds too short. You'll die in a half a minute.
I'm sorry, 0.13 seconds. And there you go. Shifty Shafts.
Great place. No loot. Flip it. And number 14 is Junk Junction. Junk is never in the circle. Junk may not be in the circle ever, but there's a lot of loot. And there you can get a lot of freaking metal. So...
Never in the circle. But great loot. Sometimes. Very much like Lucky Landing's name. Lucky Landing is a lie because it's not really lucky.
But junk is the opposite. It is junk.
Junk doesn't have a lot of junk and loot. But
yeah,
very far from the circle unless you're extremely lucky.
Exactly.
And number 13
is Risky Reels. Let's try making this going quicker.
Alright.
So for Risky Reels, my reasons are that it is a good location. There's enough loot, but there's not a lot of loot for a squad. And in squads, there's not enough loot for those squads to share. And what's your reason?
Very good when you are going solo. Usually when there's not a lot of people there, it can be very easy to get good loot. And chest spawns are not very consistent.
Yeah.
There are 2 different chest spawns in the barn-like thing.
Yeah.
But you only get both of them every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Number 12 is Lazy Links. I have Lazy Links for that. There's not enough loot, but there's golf carts.
Yeah. And no loot, but
Golf carts.
sometimes you can get lucky. It should not have, I should say.
Existed.
Should not have ever existed. Anarchy should have stayed. But, 2 fields.
2 fields, 1 map.
We don't need too many. Fatal Fields and Anarchy Acres were basically the same place, so.
Yeah.
Alright.
Let's just speed this up. 2 reasons for each. So we're at 11. For 11 is Loot Lake. I have Loot Lake for my 2 reasons. 1, there's a lot of loot. 2, there's not a lot of mats.
And for me, I think Loot Lake is a lie. Its name is a lie. Sometimes you can get loot, however, but
Decent loot.
usually when you go there, it is impossible to get out.
Exactly.
Also, right next to Tilted Towers, you're gonna die, dude.
Dude, you're gonna die.
And number 10 is Willing Woods.
There's a lot of mats, not a lot of loot, and it's never in the circle.
Willing Woods can have loot. Very hard to get the loot, though.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good place for squads, even duos, maybe sometimes. And if you're feeling very lucky on that day, I still wouldn't go there.
I did. I won the lottery the other day and the day after I won it. Let's go to Whaling. Oh, my luck ran out.
All right.
For number 9, Salty Springs. I am salty for 2 reasons. 1, a lot of loot. 2, it's in the circle. And by the way, these are going to start to get into the, like, good reasons. Just name 2.
All right, Salty Springs, pretty good with loot, a lot of houses, good for squads. Salty Springs is like a town, so.
Mhm. I'm just cut. This is all getting cut out. So, yeah, let's just for them name 2 reasons.
Also, Salty Springs gives you good loot for
A small place.
small place.
What's up? And sorry about that, but number 8 we have Greasy Grove. I have Greasy Grove as 8 for that. It's overrated, but there is a lot of loot, but it isn't a good overall location.
I think Greasy Grove is good for loot. Not the best loot, but most of the time you get very good loot. Very lucky place. Mostly luck based. Very good location for the circle too.
And at number
Say that again. Number 7.
And number 7 is Pleasant Park. So I have Pleasant Park for 7. My 2 reasons are there is a lot of loot, but it's barely ever in the circle.
Pleasant Park is loot filled, never in the circle. So, very good for a squad or a duo. Very good for an LTM, like 50v50. And yeah.
For number 6, we have
Dusty Divot.
I have Dusty Divot for A, now there is a lot of mats there, but B, it's gone to crap.
Dusty Divot would be higher on the list if it had loot still. But chests have been removed and pretty much turning back into Dusty Depot. So, probably will be covered by Season 6 by either trees or
dirt.
Maybe filled with dirt.
For number 5 is Haunted Hills. I have it for A, no one goes there, so you could get all the loot. But B, it's never in the circle.
Like he said, very good for solo loot. Very good for any kind of loot, basically. Duos, squads. And have to be pretty lucky for the circle to land on Haunted Hills. And
yeah.
Number 4 is Tilted Towers.
People would think Tilted be at 1. Gotti.
Never good if you're not good at fighting / building.
You'll land there and within 3 seconds you'll die, but there's a lot of loot.
And one thing, if you go to the clock tower, if you get a bomb, throw it immediately, okay?
Everything will die.
Exactly. Go there on solos, get a bomb in the clock tower. You might die, but everyone else will.
You'll get a lot of XP.
Lots of XP for 30 seconds in a game.
Number 3 is Fatal Fields. Fatal Fields is a good location because it's almost in the circle every time, but cut this out.
Southern.
It's a southern place, so you'll have Lucky Land and Paradise and Flush and Shifty around it.
Good place to stop after any of those locations.
There's also a lot of materials and loot.
and probably not as good as Anarchy was, but pretty much the same thing at least. And number 2 is Resale Row.
Or Rip-Off Row if you have a bad day, because everyone goes there. And there's not a lot of loot if everyone goes there.
Very good if it's far from where the battle bus is going, because if there's no one there, you have all the loot to yourself.
But it's a traffic location because it's by Dusty and Paradise.
It's pretty much very good for squad dropping and duos.
Solo, it's not good.
It's very good for shotguns. I mean, pretty much every location is good for pistols. And just remember, it's not good against luck. It's a very lucky place. Remember that.
And number 1 is drumroll.
You wouldn't have expected this.
Snubby Shez.
Or Snobby Shores.
Yeah. And underrated location. There's a lot of loot. But it's never in the circle. But hey, there's 3 golf cart spawns there.
Very amazing with loot. Basketball courthouse is awesome. But don't go there. It's mine, always.
Same. Well, if I'm playing solos.
Very good duo drop, especially.
You'll find me and him there.
If you go alone as a squad, no one else goes there as a squad, usually.
Have all the loot to yourself.
Great squad drop.
And if you get killed by a Diver9802 or a mitchy2093,
you know.
It's us.
It was us.
We wrecked you. But yeah, that's the list. Remember, Mitchy's channel in the comments, and this is an all opinion-based thing. Have a great, whatever day the heck it is. If this is 2093, please comment, hey, Trump is no longer president. Who's Donald Trump?